Well, it's one thing calling for Eskom CEO Andre de Ruyter to step down over the rolling power cuts, but where does government sit in all of this? Eskom falls under the Public Enterprises Department and not the Energy Department. Energy Minister Gwede Mantashe recently stressed that they can't interfere in Eskom as they please because it's simply one of the parastatals run under Minister Pravin Gordhan. However, it's part of Mantashe's job to find new sources of renewable energy for South Africa's grid. But this process of signing on independent power producers appears to be crawling at a snail's pace, and Pravin Gordhan has stressed multiple times that this process is urgent. So it looks like Eskom isn't solely to blame. Well, James-Brent Styan is the author of the book Blackout, the Eskom Crisis, and he joins us now live to discuss the power utility's current predicament. James, it's very tricky to put everything on Andre de Ruyter's head. He's only been there for 2 years, and as he says, procurement takes at least 2 years. Mantashe did announce 25 preferred bidders yesterday for IRPs, but it seems to have taken him a very long time to do this. What is the holdup?
Hi, Annika. Look, it's been. I wrote the book in 2015 to give you an idea. We've had load shedding stage 6 2 years ago. December, I think it was 2019, 2 years ago. Since December 2019, we haven't had one single megawatt of new electricity added to the grid, not one. But we've had the same people in leadership positions. We've got the same people in national government leadership positions, and to be completely frank, it does go all the way to the president. The president was put in charge of the Eskom war room in December 2014. That's 7 years ago. And frankly, we've got to start asking about accountability all the way to the national government level, to cabinet, to the Department of Energy. It's not only about the Department of Public Enterprises. I certainly think that there's a lot of questions to be asked about their role as well, the ongoing role, but also the Department of Energy, which determines policy. If we have an integrated resource plan, which is supposed to be updated every 2 years, the last update was a number of years ago, and that was incomplete. So we don't have clear policy guidelines. What should we build? What, coal, nuclear, renewables, what exactly should we build? What is our demand going to look like in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years? We're bumbling around in the dark, not only in the load shedding darkness, but in the policy guideline darkness as well. We can't build these mega things without clear guidelines and timelines, and that's not happening.
James, under whose purview does it sit to make these clear policy guidelines, and why haven't they been made?
So I would certainly think the Department of Energy plays a critical role, and one has to ask about the skill set in the National Department of Energy. The minister himself, with respect, comes from a trade unionist background. One doesn't know who's his advisors, who's advising him at the moment, who is drawing up these key policies for National Department of Energy, which then get signed off by the presidency and cabinet. One doesn't know that. So I do think that there's a concern, and we need to get some answers as to who's determining who's drawing up these policies, which are supposed to be guiding us out of this mess. But at the moment, it seems like we really are rudderless at the moment, and also there's a complete lack of accountability. And again, I would argue that the president does need to take firmer action. We're sitting with 2 out of 15 coal-fired power stations working. 2 out of 15. We're sitting with Kusile, the brand new power station, which is producing about 20% of what it should be producing. We're sitting with Kusile and Medupi, which have been under construction for 14 years, since 2007. We've had load shedding now for 14 years, and they're still not finished. And we don't see people being fired. We don't see people being held accountable. We just don't see it. We've had the revolving door of leadership at Eskom. We're aware of that. But certainly higher up echelons, I don't think that they're being held accountable enough.
2 out of 15 coal power stations working. What do you make of Gwede Mantashe's statement this week, essentially affirming his commitment to coal, especially after the 130 billion rand investment committed to South Africa to invest in renewables?
It's a very difficult one. You're going to put me in a difficult position, Annika. On the one hand, I think that coal-fired power stations, they're not going to close down in the next 10 years. In fact, we're probably going to sit with Medupi and Kusile for a very long time to come, at least 30 to 40 years. So that means we need better quality coal to go into these power stations. We can't continue throwing rocks into these boilers, which continue to break these tubes, essentially, which leads to load shedding. So we do need, in my view, probably potentially need some more coal. And it's going to be necessary for the long term, but good, better quality coal, not the rubbish that we seem to be getting, which seems to be adding to the load shedding problem. That's point one. Point two, and there's a big argument being made about renewables and that Eskom's being deliberately destroyed to privatize the industry. Now, it doesn't matter which way you cut it. There's absolutely no way that Eskom, with its current financial predicament, can build new power stations. It is going to have to be the private sector, and the thing about renewables is that it can be done quickly. Within 2 to 3 years, you can get add new power to the grid. So it doesn't matter which way you look at it. It is the only option on the table at the moment, and we should be embracing it as quickly as we can if we want to reduce the impact of load shedding.
A very depressing picture there, James-Brent Styan. Thank you so much. The author of the book Blackout, the Eskom Crisis. Thank you so much for your time this morning.